Hello and welcome back to An Old Man Watches. And today I am going to be talking about Fantasy Mission Force, an oddball action film from early 80s Hong Kong. Bit of a sort of slapstick action fusion, I guess. And as this film begins, it is the height of World War II. Japanese forces attack an Allied military camp somewhere in Canada. Seems unlikely. Don't worry, things are going to get a whole lot less likely. The Japanese kidnap 4 Allied generals from the camp and spirit them off to Luxembourg. The tiny Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, situated on the border of France and Germany. Why do the Japanese take them there? The movie doesn't care. Neither should you. In any case, a rescue mission must be mounted. And after rejecting a number of candidates that include Rocky Balboa and Snake Plissken, yes, from Escape from New York, the authorities select Lieutenant Don Nguyen to assemble a team for the operation. The wisdom of this decision seems dubious, to be frank, as the lieutenant assembles a group of total misfits for the task. Despite the fact that he is very much the centre focus of the image on your screen, this group does not include Jackie Chan. He plays a petty crook who shadows the rescue team in hope of making a financial score. The team sets out for Luxembourg, encountering a bunch of surreal threats en route. These include spear-wielding tribesmen, cannibalistic Amazons, Chinese hopping vampires, and Nazi samurai on 1970s muscle cars. Despite the apparent death of their leader, Lieutenant Wen, at the hands of the very first of these dangers, the group continues their mission, culminating in a very Wild Bunch-style final bloodbath with the aforementioned Nazi samurai. And this is when the film pulls its final plot twist and finally gives Jackie Chan something to do. So, after the fever dream of a plot summary, you're probably thinking this sounds like a pretty wild ride. Maybe even good fun. Alas, that is not the case. In fact, this film's ability to take the utterly insane and make it just kind of dull is really quite uncanny. And here are the reasons why I think this film is so much less than the sum of its parts. So first of all, Fantasy Mission Force has a lot of deliberate anachronisms, such as Snake Plissken and Rocky Balboa being around in a World War II setting, and, samurai Nazis on 70s muscle cars. And it just has general weirdness, like the Japanese soldiers taking the Allied generals to Luxembourg, and the fact that there are Amazons and tribal warriors on the journey there. It also mashes together lots of different genres. Vampires are kind of a horror thing. There's lots of slapstick. There's lots of action. We've got that sort of and then we've got the various different kind of sort of post-cyberpunky kind of references and the like. And anachronisms and genre blending are both techniques that can be quite effective. It's science fiction, but there are wizards with laser swords. Has proved to be quite a successful blend, for instance. But the thing is, these techniques need to be used with some kind of purpose. If you have space wizards, make their presence an important element in your story. This film does not demonstrate any sense of purpose. The various weird adventures the team goes through are never contextualised or given a purpose beyond being wacky. Are cannibalistic Amazons a thing in this world, or is their appearance shocking? And if the latter, what is the significance of their presence? The movie has no answers for these questions or any sign it even considered them. It just threw them in because it needed to fill up some time, and it wants desperately to be wacky. Next, look, Jackie Chan's a big star. He's well known worldwide today, and even in 1983, just 40 years ago, people, while he did not have that international notoriety, he was already a major star in Hong Kong. And he's top billed in this movie's credits, and he's heavily featured in the film's marketing images, including right here on your screen. But this is not a Jackie Chan film. It's not a Jackie Chan film tonally, and it's not a Jackie Chan film in terms of screen time. While his character does play a significant role in the concluding scenes, his role in the film is otherwise very small. Now, thousands of movies exist that are perfectly entertaining without Jackie Chan having any role in them at all, but if you position a movie as a Jackie Chan film, as this film is clearly doing, you're creating certain expectations with your audience. Expectations on which this movie is not going to deliver. Promising something you aren't going to deliver might get you butts on seats in the first instance, but it's not going to lead to happy audiences. They came for Jackie Chan and you didn't give him to them. And that, if you come to this movie for Jackie Chan, you're not getting him. That's just the fact of the matter. Finally, for most of its length, Fantasy Mission Force is relatively light-hearted. You've got all the anachronistic elements, as well as what nonsense like one of the Allied generals introducing himself as Abraham Lincoln, and there's plenty of slapstick. Even when the team bumps into literal vampires, they largely deal with them by playing some Mahjong. And then we get to the finale, and while the Gonzo elements do continue, they're fighting samurai Nazis on muscle cars after all, and while the team gets stabbed in the butt with a katana, because ha ha ha, that's funny, right? The movie suddenly decides it wants to be the Wild Bunch. The team are slowly killed off one by one in melodramatic style. And this is a major shift in tone as they and the Nazis mutually annihilate each other. Now, that sort of, really big tonal shift can work and even be very compelling, but it's definitely a very difficult thing to pull off, and I don't think that this film manages it anyway. It feels really abrupt and weird. So what we've got in the end is a film that for much of its length is not as funny as it wants to be, and at the end tries to be something else, and that doesn't work either. Mostly, it's just a bit dull. So that's Fantasy Mission Force. Next time, a film about people with dangerous psychic powers and the conspiracy to control them. It's not David Cronenberg's Scanners, it's Brian De Palma's The Fury, which actually came out 3 years earlier in 1978. But that's next time. Until then, thanks for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it.